All right, folks, so we have been working for the last couple of days on finding the slope of a line. And we have learned that slope is steepness and we have learned that there's two ways to find slope. On a graph, we have learned to use m equals rise over run to find our slope. We know that rise can go up or down, and that run can go left or right. If rise goes up, it's positive. If rise goes down, it's negative. If it goes left, it's negative. If it goes right, it's positive for the run. And then we've also learned to find slope with ordered pairs. And we know that ordered pairs are in parentheses and they are made up of an x value followed by a y value. And then if we want to find slope with ordered pairs, that we do y minus y over x minus x. Now, in addition to this, we have also learned that there are 4 types of slope. Four types of slope, and those are positive, negative, 0, and undefined. Positive slopes go uphill. Negative slopes go downhill. 0 slopes are horizontal or flat, and undefined slopes go up and down. They are vertical. So that's what we've been working with for the last few days. Now, what we're going to do next is we are going to talk about graphing linear equations. So graphing linear equations is up next for us. And you'll notice that I already have my Desmos calculator pulled up, so we're going to be using that Desmos calculator to help us with this graphing. Okay, now let's talk about a couple of things here that we need to know to get us started. First of all, let's talk about what a linear equation is. A linear equation has a graph that is a line. And that's how they get their name. So an equation is linear if it has a graph that is a line. Now, to help us with these graphs, we are going to be looking at a couple of points that are important. One of those being the x-intercept. And when we talk about an x-intercept, that is the point where the graph crosses the x-axis and then we are also going to be talking about a y-intercept which is the point where the graph crosses the y-axis. Well, pen's not wanting to write. All right, so this is the vocabulary you need to know for today's lesson. A linear equation, the graph is going to be a line, a straight line. An x-intercept is the point where the line crosses the x-axis, and the y-intercept is the point where the graph crosses the x-axis. And we're going to use these 2 points, the x and the y-intercepts, to help us get our lines copied down onto our paper correctly. All right, so let me show you how we're going to do this. The first example we're going to do is y equals a negative x plus 3. Y equals a negative x plus 3. Now, let me see if I can scoop this out of my way for just a minute. All right, so to graph this, we're going to come to our Desmos calculator, and we're going to click in this first bar right here so that we have a cursor. Now what we're going to do is we're going to type that equation into the calculator exactly the way we see it on the board. So I'm going to do y equals, and then I'm going to do a negative x plus 3. So you'll notice I've typed that into my calculator exactly the way that I see it on the board. And over here I see this red straight line. So that's what lets me know that this is a linear equation. The graph that I'm seeing is a straight line. Now, you're going to have to copy this graph from your Desmos screen to your paper. So here's how we're going to do that. You are going to come over here, and you're going to use that calculator screen that you have over here to identify the x-intercept and the y-intercept. So the x-intercept is where this line is crossing the x-axis. The x-axis runs left to right. And you'll notice that your calculator has put a dot right here on the x-axis where it's crossing. So what I want you to do is click on that dot, and you'll notice that it produces an ordered pair. It gives you 3, 0. So the x-intercept for this graph is 3. We cross the x-axis at 3, 0. Now what we'll do is we'll look at our y-axis, which runs up and down. And you'll notice again that your line has a dot right there where it's crossing the y-axis. So I'm going to click on that, and you'll notice that your y-intercept is 0, 3. So we're going to type the equation into the calculator exactly the way we see it, and then we are going to use that calculator to tap on where it crosses the x-axis and where it crosses the y-axis and get those 2 points. All right, now what you'll do to finish this off, because you're going to have to copy the graph onto your paper for me, so you'll use these 2 points to help you do that. So your x-intercept was at 3, 0. So right there. So there we've got that. And our y-intercept was 3. And then you can use those 2 points to draw the line. And hopefully yours will be straighter than mine is. So this is what you're going to do. You're going to use the calculator to draw the graph. Write down the x-intercept, which is where you hit the x-axis, the y-intercept, which is where you hit the y-axis, and then you're going to use those 2 points to sketch what you're seeing on your calculator screen on paper. So this first one is done. All right, let's do another one. Let's do y equals a negative 3/4 x plus 1. Okay, so let's come back over here to the calculator, and let's hit this x and clear that equation off. I'm going to click in that box again so that I'm ready to type, and I'm going to put in y equals. Now, to do negative 3/4, listen carefully, because here's how you're going to enter that fraction. You're going to hit your divided by symbol. So watch what I'm doing here. I'm not typing any numbers right now. I'm going to hit my divided by symbol. And when you do that, what you'll notice right here is you get a fraction. Right now your cursor is on top of that fraction, and there's kind of this gray box on the bottom. So hit your divided by symbol first to get your fraction ready to go. So now what I'll do is I'll type in negative 3 on the top of that fraction, just like I have on my paper. And then I will click down here on the bottom and type in the 4. So there's my -3/4. Now, you need to be over here beside the fraction to put your x, so I'm going to click right there beside, and I'm going to put in my x, and then I'll have +1. Please check and make sure that the equation that you have entered on the calculator looks exactly the way it does on the computer screen. Please make sure that it's identical. And in this case it is. Alright, so over here I see my line. Notice that it is a negative slope for this line. And what I want now are my intercepts. So first, I'm going to go after my x-intercept. So the x-axis is the one running left to right. Look for the point where it's hitting the x-axis and click on that point. And what you'll notice is I get 1.333, 0. So notice I'm getting a decimal this time, and that's okay. That will happen a lot on these. All right, now for your y-intercept, your y-axis is the one running up and down. Find the point where your line is crossing that y-axis and click there. Notice this time we get 0, 1. So I have my x-intercept and my y-intercept, and now I'm ready to draw a sketch of this line on my paper. All right, so on my x-axis, notice that I'm between 1 and 2. So here's 1, here's 2, 1.3 repeating is about right there. And then on my y-axis, I'm at 1. So when you do get these decimals for your x and y intercepts, you'll just kind of have to estimate where those go on the number line. All right, so there's a second one done. Pretty simple stuff because we're just typing the equation into the calculator and then clicking on where it crosses the x-axis and the y-axis. But I do want to say one more time here with that fraction that to put the fraction in, you hit your divided by symbol right here first, and then that will let you type in the fraction. Okay, let's get ready to do another one. Let's do y equals 2/3 x minus 1. All right, so let's click on this x to clear out that equation. And now we're ready to go. So first we're going to do y equals. Now notice I want to enter a fraction. I want to enter 2/3. So I am going to come up here to my division symbol on my keyboard, and I'm going to press that first. My cursor is right now on top of my fraction, so I'm going to put in the 2. Then click in the bottom and put in my 3. So there's my 2/3. Click beside it and put in the x, because you want that x to be beside the fraction. And then your minus 1. Now notice this time our green line over here, we have a positive slope on that line. Our x-intercept happens right here where we're crossing the x-axis. Decimal again, this time 1.50. And then our y-intercept is where we cross this y-axis, so click here. 0, -1. And now that you have those 2 points, we can sketch the graph. Now notice your x-intercept is at 1.5, so you'll need 1, 2 on your x-axis, and 1.5 is exactly in the middle between 1 and 2. 0, -1. You want to come down 1 on the y-axis and put your dot there. And then you'll draw the line through those 2 points. Okay, now, sometimes these equations will look a little different than these first 3 we've done. The first 3 that we did all started out y equals. Notice this one does not, but that's okay. you are just going to continue to type these into the calculator exactly the way you see them on the computer. All right, so clear this one out. We're going to do 4x plus 3y equals 12. And notice I get a line here that is negative slope. That has negative slope. All right, for my x-intercept, let's go to the x-axis and click where we cross. Notice this line has an x-intercept of 3, 0. Then for your y-intercept, go to your y-axis, click where you've crossed, and notice that that is 0, 4. With those 2 points, you have everything that you need to draw a sketch of what you're seeing on your screen. On the x-axis, we need 1, 2, 3 marks, and we're on that third one. For the y-axis, we need 1, 2, 3, 4 marks, and we're on that fourth one. And then draw your line. (2x minus 4y equals 8). Hit the X to clear out your line. Tap in that first box. 2x minus 4y equals 8. And you'll notice that, well, what happened there? Equals 8. There we go. Now it looks better. Notice your keyboard down here that we're using has everything on it you need. It has your X, it has your Y, it has your equal sign, it has all your numbers, so you're able to type these in very easily. For the x-intercept, go to where you're crossing the x-axis. 4, 0 is my point. For the y-axis, click on the y-axis. 0, -2. So when we go to sketch, x-axis we need 1, 2, 3, 4 on the positive side. Y-axis we need 2 on the negative side. And then we can draw the line. And notice this is a line that would have a positive slope. Clear it out. Type in your new one. X plus 3y equals -3. Negative sloping line this time. First, we'll click on the x-axis. Crosses at -3, 0. Then we'll click on the y-axis. Crosses at 0, -1. And then with those 2 points, I can make a copy of this line on my paper. So -3, 0, 0, -1. Now, almost done here. Now, notice this guy. The first thing that should stand out about this equation is that it doesn't have an x like all of the others have that we've done. But that's okay. So, let's take a look at this. Clicking in the box, we want y equals 2. Now, if you look at this, y equals 2, you'll notice that that blue line is a horizontal line. As far as an x-intercept is concerned, right here is the x-axis, and you'll notice that that line isn't touching it. So when they ask me about the y-intercept, or the x-intercept, excuse me, I'm going to say there is none. And there is no x-intercept because that line does not cross the x-axis. The line does cross the y-axis right here. So that happens at 0, 2. So no x-intercept for this line because he doesn't cross the x-axis, but y-intercept is happening at 0, 2. So to sketch him, on the y-axis we'll go to 2, and then we'll draw that same horizontal line that we're seeing there. Now notice the slope this time would be 0. Horizontal lines have a slope of 0, so the slope this time would be 0. Alright, now let's do one that is like this. So this time we have an equation that has an x but does not have the y. So I'll clear this one out and I will type in x equals -3. So notice I get a vertical line this time. A vertical line. Now I am crossing the x-axis with this one, so I'll click where I'm crossing. The x-intercept is at -3, 0. But you'll notice this time the line does not cross that y-axis over there, so this would be none. So when I go to sketch on the x-axis, I'll go to -3, and then I'll draw that vertical line. So all of the equations you're going to be graphing today are going to be straight lines when you get the graph done. You're going to put them in on your Desmos calculator, and you are going to look for the x and y intercepts. The x-intercept is where the line is hitting the x-axis. The y-intercept is where the line is hitting the y-axis. And you'll use those points to help you sketch the line on your paper. Don't forget that when you need to enter a fraction, you hit your division sign first, right here. And then like if it was 5/6, I would put the 5 on the top, click down in the bottom, and enter the 6. So that's how we enter fractions. Oh, and let me say one more thing about this. Let's say that my line was x equals 12. Now you'll notice when I get x equals 12 typed in, I don't see anything over here. And that's because -10 and +10 are my limits on the x-axis. So if that happens to you, what you can do is come up here. The plus sign will let you zoom in. The minus sign will let you zoom out. So if you'll hit that minus sign, notice that that will zoom out a bit and let you see your line. And that's crossing the x-axis at 12, 0. So if you're unable to see your line, try using these buttons to zoom in and out. Alright, so that is graphing linear equations using your calculator. If you have any difficulties with that at all or any questions about it at all, then please let me know.